Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dana from Dev Device with a new podcast episode featuring Mr. Christopher Ball, the founder of Frequently.Ai. Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. We met on LinkedIn, I guess, and we are doing similar things. We are agencies working in the Amazon space, and that's what triggered my curiosity. I wanted to get to know about you. What are you doing? Where you're coming from? Where you are? One thing I know for now is you are in the UK.
Yeah.
You are in the northwest of the United Kingdom. I am at the center of the Malaysian kingdom. So we are quite a bit apart, but we still managed to talk here. So great to have you. Let me know, what are you doing these days? What is Frequently AI about?
Yeah, so Frequently is one of the world's first AI Amazon assistants, we've actually added a few more parts to it, but that was kind of the original premise for it, as a seller central assistant. So you can go to it, you can ask it questions, and the responses tend to be pretty good. It started off as an internal tool, and then we started training it based on other questions we could find on the internet, such as like Reddit and YouTube videos and LinkedIn and Facebook. And then when the answers got pretty decent, we're like, actually, this is quite good. And then someone on the team said, well, actually, I would love this kind of tool when I first started on Amazon. So we purchased a decent domain name, set it up, and then just kept on adding features to it. So originally it was just Seller Central, and now there's a whole host of other features on there that's free of charge to use.
Is it based on ChatGPT?
It is, yeah. So yeah, it uses OpenAI, GPT-4.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the.
And it
that's
works
very
as a
short version.
plugin. So it's like a Chrome plugin or browser plugin, or how do I interact with this plugin?
Yeah, literally it's not a plugin. You just literally go to the website, and then there's loads of different tools. Just pick what you want. So for example, you could pick eBay or Seller Central or infographic idea. And then there's just a typing box at the bottom. You just type it in, and then very, very similar to like ChatGPT-4 now, you can kind of see it typing. And then it just comes back with the answers of what it thinks is correct. Originally, when we set it up, it didn't have some of that feature. That feature is quite a new one as well. It's only recently been added. So originally, you'd type a message, and then you'd have to wait like 90 seconds, and then it'd come back with a message. But we managed to get that bit up and running now. So it just definitely speeds up the process on there.
All right. So it's actually like a separate tool in a separate browser. It's not integrated into Seller Central, but it is like a tool which you can access, and then and it's trained on Amazon's seller account related questions, right?
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much perfectly. Yeah. So it's you have to go onto the tool to use it. Yeah, and it's trained on basically the whole agency's SOPs and then other pieces of content. And what we do is, when it does get questions that it can't answer, we actually take that information, create a piece of content around it, and then we retrain the AI based on that information. So it's constantly getting better over time.
Wow, that sounds really amazing, man. I would like to try this thing like very, very soon. So whenever I have a question, I just go to this place, to Frequently.ai, and I can just ask anything, and it will kind of give me advice on how to do this, how to do that. Can even help me creating listings or.
So we've added a few different features on there. So you've got the Seller Central one, which is more based around like issues you may have, and some very basic overview strategy. But then there is a listing creator on there, and it's not meant to replace, like, there's loads of really good pieces of software out there. There's Helium 10 and Jungle Scout and Songuru. There's loads of really good ones. So it's not there to replace them. But what we were finding is a decent chunk of the queries that were coming through to the AI tool were based around, create me a listing based on this, create me a listing based on this. So we're like, well, actually, we'll just build one and just explain, look, this is not to replace these tools. We don't hold keywords. It's just going off information that's already available. So we can do that. One of my favorite tools on there is the infographic idea creator. So you just give it some keywords, and it'll come up with 5 different concepts for infographics and just walk you through them. That's my favorite one out of all, really.
Yeah, I think we could have a long conversation about AI tools right now. It's the elephant in the room. But today I would like to give the stage to Christopher Ball himself and his life journey. So everything else is like kind of secondary. But Christopher, who are you? Who were you when you were 10 years old? Where were you? What was going on in your life like
Yeah,
10 years
10
ago?
years old. 10 years ago, or when I was 10?
I thought it was the same, but let's go with 10 years old.
10 years old. Oh, wow. So I would have been a small boy growing up in a suburb of Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yeah, a suburb of Liverpool on a, with my mum and dad on a, council estate on Liverpool somewhere. And going to school, playing football, not very well, but trying to play football, I should say. And just doing things of the time. So it would have been like football stickers, pogs, if anyone's old enough to remember those stuff. And just doing those type of things. Yeah.
Did you have a vision what you would wanted to be as an adult?
I remember doing something at school when I was it would have been a primary school, so the first school I went to, and I remember designing like logos, which there's nothing really to do with what I do now. But yeah, I remember designing like logos for some clothing companies and stuff like that. So I don't think I had an idea. A bit later on, I did have an idea of what I wanted to do. I originally was meant to go into the RAF.
RAF?
The Royal Air Force. Yeah, the Royal Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to become a soldier or a pilot?
Well, it was more like an engineer, like an airplane engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. And I passed all the tests, and then it came to the medical, and I failed the medical because you can probably get away with it now, but I've got celiac, so I can't have gluten, and they couldn't guarantee that on the battlefield or in a different country they wouldn't be able to give you gluten things. So I failed the medical basically, and they put me down a different path.
And so, so that made you go take which path? What was the next path from there?
The next path from there was, truth is just piss about for many years and not really do anything too major. Like finish school, then I trained. Funnily enough, I trained to be a chef. So I trained to be a chef for 3 years.
Oh, so you're a good cook.
I'm all right, not bad. But it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't for me. It was like split shifts, not very nice management team in a lot of places, ridiculously hot, no matter which kitchen you're in. And I was just like, this is not.
I've been working in kitchens for a few years, and it's a very special task to be in a kitchen.
I think combination between kitchens and customer service, they're probably two very hard jobs to do.
Yeah.
And then after doing a chef, just had a few just basic jobs in like, where did I work? Costco, I worked for Vodafone, and then I started working for a company doing eBay stuff, and then that's kind of where it started after that. So it was designer, RAF, chef, basic jobs, and then to eBay. That was the full spectrum.
So eBay was your entry point to the e-commerce world, where you are today.
Exactly, yeah. So I started working for a company who was selling like car parts, and I was there a few years and worked my way up. And so I started as like an exec, and then I got to assistant manager. And we ended up being like one of the top 10 eBay companies in the UK at the time. Bear in mind, this was like circa 2009, 2010. So it was a good chunk away. And they become one of the top eBay companies. And then it became apparent that there was no chance of me ever getting another promotion. So I moved on.
And that's where your entrepreneurial journey started, when you left this company?
Well, my eBay ones definitely started then, but even prior to that, even prior to go and starting this eBay job, the reason why it was kind of enticed me in really was that I don't know if you remember Play, the website Play, which is now retiring. I can't pronounce the name. No, so there used to be a website based in like the Isle of Man or Guernsey or something like that. So they used to be able to send products out tax-free to UK customers. And what I used to do is buy the products off Play and then sell them on eBay.
And retail arbitrage.
Well, it was online arbitrage before it was even cool. So that probably would have been like 15 years ago.
There you go.
So there was a very like specific set of like products which you could get on Play and they'd be relatively cheap, and then sell them on eBay for a decent margin. So I think that's kind of where it started. And then in between like then and now, I've had a few different businesses and a few different websites, and I've just done like loads of different bits. What else have I done? I used to be very much into fantasy football. I used to have a fantasy football website, fantasy Premier League website. I used to collect, and I still got some consoles now, but I used to collect like old school consoles like SNES, NES, Mega Drive, all these kind of things. So I used to go to car boots and buy and sell all those on eBay and things like that. Yeah, and then I've had like 2 FBA lines, one that tanked and then one did all right, and I sold it off.
So you mean you had an Amazon FBA business?
Yes.
Ah, okay. And one of them you sold?
Yeah, one I lost money, a considerable amount of money, many years ago, and one I sold off. But this was well before all the aggregators came in, unfortunately.
Okay. But you're still, I mean, to get into Amazon and open your business and open your private label business, that's quite a journey, right? It doesn't just fall from the sky. I mean, there must have been some kind of migration from selling stuff on eBay to become an Amazon seller.
Yeah, definitely. And part of it kind of linked to like the jobs that I've done at the time. So like that first job at eBay, that was like the original start. But then I joined another company, and that was a startup, and they were basically producing the goods in China, and they'd all come over pre-packed, and then we'd sell them on eBay and trying to sell them on Amazon at the time. And then unfortunately there was some bad business decisions made by the owner, and the company ended up going under. So then I ended up in another eBay and Amazon company. So having these little side projects, one, I love to have a little side project anyway, or a little side hustle as they're now called. But two, also it just like it's different when it's your own kind of business as well. So when I was running ads for my FBA company, I could be like, well, actually, I'll just test this out because it's my money, kind of things. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work, then I don't need to explain to everyone what's going on with it, which was nice. Yeah. So and then various different jobs and different companies, different sizes, and then I've just kind of enthralled lots of different things. So I've done FBA, self-fulfilled Prime, was on the pilot for that, merchant fulfilled, like loads of different pilots, vendor flex, seller flex, vendor central, direct import, just like everything to do with Amazon, especially over the last 6 or 7 years. Like just anything to do with Amazon just kind of got stuck into it. So if I wasn't doing it at work, then I'd be doing it at home, kind of thing, which is a bit sad, but you know.
And the product ideas and the business ideas, where did they come from? I mean, before you start selling something on Amazon, you need to have an idea like what do you want to sell, and it's basically brand building as well, right?
Yeah. So I mean, now you just kind of go and search to see what else is selling and do that kind of thing. But a lot of like either the Amazon stuff or just ideas like just kind of just pop into my head. And
really?
Yeah,
they just popped into your head.
Yeah, a lot of them are really bad. Yeah, a lot of them are bad. But every now and again, there's a few good ones in between. But yeah, it's just like just constant thoughts of.
So you just I mean, there's a whole science around product picking, right? I mean, how to pick the
Oh
right
yeah, there is
product.
now. Yeah.
There's a lot of strategy and stuff. So, I mean, to just go with but actually, I'm on the same boat. So I did the same thing. When I was picking my first product, the Apple Watch came out. It was kind of like the same month when I was starting my Amazon business, looking for my first product to sell. Apple Watch came out, and then I saw these little Apple Watch stands, like these tiny, just like an aluminum thing where you can just place your Apple Watch on top and put your charger below. And I think, wow, this is so cool. This is this is the trend right now. This is what's happening. So yeah, I basically did the same kind of decision making as you were just, it just not in my head, but it popped in front of my screen. So I just went with it.
Yeah. And I think especially now as well, again, just going back to an earlier bit of the conversation, like there's so many good tools now for finding products, and even Amazon have started bringing out their own version of these tools. So you don't necessarily even have to pay for them. You can just search through the Amazon data instead. So there's so much more available now. So in one respect.
So how would you go about it today? So if you had to pick a product today to start selling, how would you go about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I think what we do with Frequently and what we do with Help is everything's based on data. So we would be looking to see what is selling well, what's not got that much competition, what is less likely to break, what can we send cheaply, what's going to be cheaply to acquire. Them kind of questions, really. But on the offset of that as well is pretty much everyone's looking for the exact same things. So although it's easy, well, I'm saying it's easy to do, although I feel like it's easier to do now, it's probably more complex because everyone's got access to this data, haven't they? So
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, of course, everybody can view this data, and so yeah, it's a common ground at a different level. Like last time, you were just maybe looking at the best sellers and the ones that you could kind of imagine to source, and then you would go with that. But of course, nowadays there's much more options and much more variations and differentiations, and the landscape has become more complex. But at the same time, I'm a believer that it's not enough to just pick a product that somehow kind of ticks the boxes. I think we need to build a brand. I think to be successful today, we have to do more than just have a product that's kind of selling well. I think we have to build a community. We have to build a brand. We have to build something where people come back to us and buy again. To me, that's the big the difference maker for me, as opposed to someone who's just trying to be the cheap guy, and until the next guy comes in and is cheaper than him.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side of that, I think it also depends what products you're selling. If you're selling repeatable products, then yeah, building the brand's great. But like, I don't know, I'm thinking of something that I wouldn't buy very often. I bought some new shoes and I bought some shoe stretchers. Like, I couldn't tell you what the brand of those were because I'm probably never going to buy them again. Like, it just doesn't think you. But then I buy baby milk sometimes off Amazon because the pharmacy doesn't have it. But I could tell you straight away what that is. You know what I mean? So I think it might be dependent on the goods as well, possibly.
Like, yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. So your life journey just went from starting. You were doing all these different things like cooking and working here and there, different jobs. And you came into eBay, and then you came into Amazon, which is kind of a logical next step. And from entering Amazon, now you are in the Amazon agency space. So how did that happen?
Yeah. So I used to work. So I think I've done this for like 13 years now. So originally 13 and 14 years when I originally first started. And for 10 of those years, I've always worked client side. Again, kind of either vendor, seller central, FBA, pretty much every different variation. And then, yeah, I had the chance to move to a digital marketing agency because they were setting up their own Amazon part. So I went to there to help them set that up. And then it was going okay, but then I think maybe there's some underestimations of how much actually goes into selling on Amazon, how many different moving parts there are compared to, I don't know, for example, like a pay-per-click account or a social account. And don't get me wrong, they've both got their own complexities as well, but it's just like as you probably know too well, you've got the copy, you've got the creative, you've got the ads, you've got the strategy, you've got the customer service, you've got all these different things, your metrics, your inventory, your shipping settings, and it's just like it was a bit of a minefield for them, and we needed more people to be able to expand, and then essentially I just think they were like, well, actually, I don't think we're going to be able to compete with the full kind of service model of another agency. And then there was potential for me to move to another department, and I was like, well, actually, I think I'll just go and do something myself.
So that's when you open your own agency.
Well, I actually moved briefly to another agency, like an Amazon-only agency, and then through various different life events, like, which I won't go into, but I decided, like, if I was going to do this, I was turning 40, and there's just loads of different things happened in my life, and I was like, well, if I don't do it now, then I'm probably never going to do it. So it's worth going and giving it a go.
Nice. That is a pretty complex life journey, Christopher.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It just I don't know. It just seems normal to me, but yeah, maybe to someone else.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, I think that's the beauty of it, that we all have our own ways of life, and how we arrived, at where we are today is every time different. So I've never heard two stories being even similar. So yeah, it's very interesting to witness, like, how you became the agency owner of Frequently, and that's not the only agency you're running. So it's been a long journey, and now you are completely in charge of your stuff. And let me ask you, where do you see your challenges at the moment? What are your biggest challenges in your business?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest one is we are a startup. So our main agency, because Frequently is more of a tool, but the main agency, Help.co.uk, is not even a year old. So it's still very young. Yeah, so we're still in that kind of startup stage. So we have to remain a bit scrappy, and we're, making sure we've got enough clients, but the clients we have got, we're making sure that we're servicing them properly. And so, yeah, it's just finding that right balance, really. So, yeah, it's.
Do you find it difficult to find clients, like Amazon sellers, who are actually engaging with your service?
Sometimes I feel like it's got harder since AI has come out, to be honest, just ironically, because we've got an AI tool as well. But I think now, just like, I don't know if yours is the same, but my LinkedIn's just constantly full of messages, and like, if you put them through like an AI discoverer, like copy leaks or something like that, to detect it, and the vast majority are coming through AI stuff. So it's hard to cut through any kind of noise if you're doing any kind of outreach or whatever it may be. But we do get a decent amount of referrals, which is always good. And we've done ads and stuff in the past, but yeah, that tends to be where most of ours come from.
Cool. All right, man. So I think that's a very good impression of what you're doing and where you are right now. So if people would like to reach out to you, we would include some links in the description under this video. I'm sure you can share some URLs and maybe an email or LinkedIn profile where people can reach out to you. What would be the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so either or, to be honest. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can message us on help.co.uk, or you can message us on Frequently.ai, or you can just reach out direct on email, which is chris@help.co.uk.
All right, cool. Yes, so I would encourage anyone who needs help with their Amazon business to reach out to Christopher. He knows what he's doing. And I would like to thank you so much for being on the podcast today with me. Thanks, Christopher. We stay in touch.
See you later. Thank you.